Good evening and welcome to Loren's podcast. Today is Saturday, February 10th, 2018. It's a little after 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Before we begin the show, I just want to let you know callers have now been muted. The chat room remains open. You can chat among yourself. Whenever I'm in interview or personal commentary mode, I do not interact with callers nor chatters because I don't want to be distracted. At the commence of my interview or personal commentary, I will go ahead then and open up the room. So if you're a caller, star 8, I can see you on the board, for questions and answers. And tonight we do have a speaker. So let's see. All questions, views, and comments of my callers don't necessarily reflect my own. However, everyone, we are in a communication forum, and there's much information to be gained. I believe that's how we grow. Without further ado, let me go ahead and, as they like to say in show business, guys, let's go ahead and get the show on the road. Okay? Okay, everyone, we're going to go ahead and get the show on the road here. I feel like I went right offline for a second. We're having some glitch problems, everyone, with TalkShoe. I don't understand, Okay, go ahead and get the show on the road. Yeah. Hey, you reached the right podcast. That's it. Come on. I'm Loren, and I'm picking up the mic tonight. Oh, yeah. Hey, I've got some real class. Oh, she's an activist. She's going to break down the terrorizing and torture and targeting of activists. This woman is beautiful. Some real class. Without further ado, New Jack Style, T.I. I'd like to introduce with warm love and affection, Crystal. Good evening, baby girl. Good evening.
Hi.
Hi. Welcome.
Well, thank you for offering me a spot on your show. And I really appreciate you calling me this morning and talking to me, and I really enjoyed the talk.
Oh, great. Great. I'm really glad we connected. I saw your post on the Facebook, and I really wanted, Crystal, very much to have you on the show because, well, I guess I'm just going to let you explain yourself. Can you tell us briefly about your experience being an active activist and your causes?
Yeah, well, I'm kind of like one of those reluctant activists, and I was, yes, it was like they chose me for this. And all of the stuff that happened to me that I became aware of shortly after 9/11, it just got worse and worse. And it started with me in what I observed was gang stalking. I was being under surveillance and that type of phenomena, and it evolved into mobbing behaviors, and where people would talk about you in front of your face like you weren't even there, and to each other and stuff like this. And it escalated, and I had to leave that job.
Mm-hmm.
I was told about being targeted for some type of frequency going into my head by someone else told me about this. And that person that told me actually told me that he got headaches when I was around him. And this was what was causing him to have headaches, I think, and probably me too. And anyway, I had to leave that job, and I did not work for a while because of the trauma of going through the mobbing and stuff and all the things that they'd done to me on the job as well. Mm-hmm. And so I I entered into a apprenticeship program and trained to be a low voltage electrician, and I graduated at the top of my class and tested out at the highest test score at the end of the class, and then I found out from one of my employers, they told me all my connections were wrong, and I was obviously being targeted for sabotage on the job. And it just evolved into the people that I worked for were actually suffering too, the ones that were good employers. And anyway, I am no longer a low voltage electrician, and I had a vehicle accident that tore my rotator cuff. I couldn't no longer work in that job, and I had still been targeted for stalking and surveillance, and because I had taken up activism after my while I was an apprentice, I was doing activist stuff on the side and showing videos about 9/11 and the election machine programming, the back doors, and how they could rig elections in it. And also I showed videos on secret societies, Michael Tessarian's videos and DVDs on secret societies. I bought all these DVDs to show so that it would help educate the public on what's really going on. And I was being I was being followed, and sometimes the only people that would show up at some of my meetings were actually people that were there to monitor me. And I knew this because there were regulars, and they were sometimes the only ones that showed up. And then one woman in the Bellevue Library actually knew more about the switches in the room than I did. There were switches to control the shades and the lights, and she knew where everything was better than I did. And I knew something was wrong there. It's like some of these people actually give themselves away in front of you. And I know you know how permeated the activist community is with people. Yeah. And it's like some of them run the groups.
Yes, because I was going to ask you, Crystal, they talk about that issue, especially like during several civil rights movements, they would actually have, government operatives infiltrate to, distract and just kind of, make the cause kind of muddled, you know what I mean? I guess that's why they want them infiltrated, so nothing really gets done.
Well, they want to control people, and the best way to control them is to run the groups and to sabotage the people that are in the groups, and also to create what I call impotent activism, which is activism that has no beneficial outcome. And it doesn't do anything to educate the public. And all it is basically people holding their hands during activist meetings and watching videos they show each other. And it doesn't spread the word to the public. Like what I did, I went out and mainstreamed the information, and that's why I was targeted. I went out and distributed 9/11 deception dollars. I went to libraries promoting the videos and everything. And this is what they don't like, people that they can't control.
Oh, my God. And thus, in a way, also sabotaging the authentic, genuine activists.
Right.
So their fight, okay. Okay,
yeah.
I want to remember, I'm going to write that down for a minute, because again, I've never heard it worded that way. Impotent activism.
Yeah, I kind of coined this term because that's what I felt this was, these people were doing.
Now, does it, with that impotent activism, does it just sort of make the whole cause kind of go homogenized and fizzle? Is that the main end game that they want?
Well, it's to undermine the group, get people fighting with each other, or break the group up. People deter people from coming into the group even.
Oh my God!
And
maybe turn some of the activists into agents too. You lure money,
Yeah, it's probably possible with that because they have everybody under surveillance, and I think all the community meetings are under surveillance and have their own operatives inside of them, even writers groups. It's like local writers groups in this northeastern Washington area that I'm in. A local community writers group actually had people in it that were obviously some kind of an operative. And these people were involved with my burglaries. And
what type of burglary do you mean? Exactly, like breaking and entering?
Well, the thing is, my oldest brother was in this writers group, and he turned up with some of the stolen property. And I know that he's had a problem with going through people's things when they're gone, even in the family. And this is how his behavior has been. And he was living with my mother at the time, and my stuff was at another house that was close to my mother's house that she lived in, and it was still owned by my mother, and stuff was disappearing out of the house, and then he turned up with some of the stuff that I had owned. And the thing is, I didn't realize this was happening until I put in an FBI FOIA. It was after the FBI FOIA request to get my FBI files from the FBI. And I turned it in several times, and they denied me under the clause of some national security clause in the denial letters. And I appealed it in 2011, the denial. And after my appeal was denied, they started burglarizing me because they want to cover up all the criminal activities they've been doing to me under surveillance, and now they were covering up their surveillance burglaries. And this is a problem most people aren't aware of, that the government is actually involved in surveillance burglaries along with drug trafficking. And, they will do anything to discredit the targeted person. And that includes smearing them in their community, planning people around them where they live, or anything. And you know that.
Oh, yes, I do. When did you realize, Crystal, that basically organized crime is in fact involved with our government, or infused in it? Since the burglaries, is that when you discovered? Oh, wait a minute, it's criminal.
Well, I was under the impression that while I was under surveillance, it was connected to the government, and because they're the only people that do surveillance of activists, really, and at the meetings they hold and everything like that I knew of, unless there are people that are financed by certain contractors for the businesses that would be damaged by whatever the activism is involved in. Like voting machines. You have to follow the money, who's behind the voting machines. And then you have to follow the money, who's behind covering up 9/11. And if you knew that Boeing had the technology to remote control these aircrafts that were used in 9/11, you knew that they were could be one of the people that were involved with targeting me. And then one of the things that kind of made me think that Boeing might be a person that had targeted me, because I'd been working for them before 9/11, is after 9/11, when I was working for Virginia Mason, I noticed on the cell phone that was the company cell phone, there was a phone number programmed into the company cell phone that said 747. And I didn't know who it was for. My coworker didn't tell me who it was for. And he also told me at a site in Port Angeles where I was going to drive the Winnebago, and I was driving these two different clinic sites, this mobile bone density scanner. He told me that one of the supervisors had told him to be careful what we say, the walls had ears. So I knew we were under surveillance while we were in the Winnebago doing mobile bone density scans. Yeah. And I figured, well, you know, because it had private investigator training, I figured, well, it's possible they could have put it in the fire alarms, or these things that look like fire alarms that were inside the you know, the mobile unit, the Winnebago that we drove around, because I don't know why they'd want a fire detector, and unless there was some kind of regulations about having a fire detector in a mobile home. It just appeared to be a fire detector to me, but it could have been a carbon monoxide detector or anything else. I don't know what kind of a detector it was, but they make those that you can plant cameras in, and I knew that, and I just figured, well, that's a logical place they would put a camera. Well, anyway, the things deteriorated when I was working for Virginia Mason, and that's where the mobbing occurred to me. And then I was not working for a while, and you know the rest of the story. And basically, because of the car injury, I could not do the job I had to do as a low voltage electrician because of my rotator cuff tears. And anyway, I was selling newspapers for a homeless group in the Seattle area. Okay. And I was at one site, and I got to tell you this interesting story because this is something I believe impacts a lot of people that they are not aware of in their activism. While I was working selling newspapers for this homeless group, I met an activist named Christopher Monfort, and he used to come down to this store that I was at. And the first time I met him, he came up to me and bought a newspaper, and he told me who he was, and he was going through the University of Washington's Law and Justice program, and he graduated from it eventually. And the thing is, most people are not aware of how the government does target people that are really good activists. They're not aware of this. And it's activists like Judy Berry, too, that they persecuted. The FBI persecuted her. There was a bomb that was planted in her vehicle, and it exploded with her and her boyfriend in it. And then the FBI proceeded to smear her and her boyfriend and frame them for, well, actually, it was like somebody had framed them by planting this bomb in their car. And the thing is, she won a lawsuit against the FBI, but unfortunately it was won after she had passed away. And people don't know what the FBI is doing anymore. And this memo, released the memo thing with Trump, is just scratches the surface of what they've been doing with illegal surveillance.
That's the FISA memo you're speaking of, the FISA memo?
Yeah, the FISA memo fraud is goes far deeper than just Trump. The FISA stuff that they've used to surveil activists and target activists with is not just for surveillance, it is for crimes. And I have been targeted for these crimes. And this kid that came down and visited me, I thought he was actually working for Homeland Security, and they were probably putting him through the University of Washington. He was so professional, and he spoke so eloquently, and so just such a professional-looking kid. And anyway, he eventually graduated, and I didn't know anything more about him until I heard he'd been he was going to be arrested for a bomb that was planted in a police type of vehicle, and also an officer that was shot on Halloween. And if you know anything about Halloween, and the Satanic involvement with drug traffickers and their desire to get cops that are good anti-drug cops out of commission. You know that this cop that was targeted on Halloween was an assassination, and this kid I don't think was even competent to do anything like assassinate cops. And he did not display any abnormal behavior that I noticed at all when he was talking to me. And I just can't even imagine, other than the fact that he was involved in speaking out against the Patriot Act, and he had given a presentation on it and was involved in activism. That's the only thing that I knew that could have targeted him. But because of his activism that he'd been doing, he'd been working with people that had been abused in prisons, and I'd heard that, and he'd been very vocal in speaking out for them. And I think he just came under a government targeting program too, only this one was another covert program. Instead of covert burglaries they target people for, they targeted him for a covert assassination that they could nail on him with their covert entry burglaries that they do. And you see, my oldest brother went through locksmith training and he had locksmith tools, and these people go into these programs to work for these groups. And I had overheard my oldest brother even talking to someone else. And there's an article on the internet, if you go to my website that, or my Facebook page that I've posted. I have multiple pages on Facebook, and you'll find a list of them if you go to Crystal Starheart on Facebook.
Okay.
And
everyone gets that, or Crystal will repeat that during questions and answers for her contact. That's how I became acquainted with Crystal on social media. And I will check out your other pages, too. And I did watch the video, by the way, of the good cop that basically had to run for his life, everyone, and leave his United States citizenship. And he got amnesty in Russia. So this is very serious.
Well, if you go to that Facebook page, I post articles that people need to know about of what's going on, and links that go with the articles. And they can go check these links out. But you see, one of the links that I've posted on one of my web pages has described that Obama wanted to know everything that was going on. And the odd part about this coming out finally, with all the other information about the targeting operations with Trump, all this information fits in with what I had previously posted on my Indie Media web documentation document that shows some pictures, photos, and it shows my report of what occurred up to a certain point in my history. But this has all been documented on Indie Media in the Portland Indie Media site, and you'll find that link on my Facebook page too. But you see, my oldest brother, because he was involved with these people in this writers group that were involved in this covert stuff, he went outside my mother's home one time while I was visiting my mother, and to answer a phone call. And what I did was I went into my mother's bathroom, which the window was open because it was a hot summer day, and I listened. And I heard his side of the conversation, and he said, he was saying, well, one of the things he said was, well, what did the president say? And so I knew right then it wasn't the president of Starbucks that he was talking about, and this was something a lot higher up because of me and my activism. and he was involved in it, the surveillance of me as well as the targeting of me. And this is my oldest brother, not my youngest brother, but he also said, well, it would be in the courts for years because this kind of targeting is going on to people and they don't even know about it unless they're wise to the stuff that they pick up from these people. And I did follow my brother to one of his meetings where I noticed a pattern appear where he would go someplace after I'd been burglarized during the night because they do this stuff during the night. They burglarize and vandalize stuff in the night.
When you say during the night, are you at home during the night? Because I always thought they came in when we're gone.
Yes. They were coming while I was gone. They were coming even in the night. And they would cut holes in my clothes. They would cut holes in my shoes. And they, a couple nights ago, a few nights ago, they even cut a hole in the popcorn bag in the kitchen. And when I come to lift the popcorn bag up, it spilled popcorn all over the stove. And, you know, uncooked popcorn, it went down inside the stove. And it's like I put a piece of tape on it to you know, cover up the hole that they'd sliced in it. But this is the kind of malicious kind of stuff they do, as well as stealing almost everything I've owned. You know, that and had any value to it. They steal all your bedding. They steal almost all my towels, and almost all my bedding has gone now. And but I had new blankets, new bedspreads, new sheets, everything, and they burglarized a cargo trailer that I had a bunch of my stuff in, books, sewing supplies, everything, you know, you name it. And I had tons of books, and they stole books. And it's people that were involved in the writers group that have been involved in absconding with my books. And I know Steve, my oldest brother, has been involved in this stuff because I had 2 matching oak bookcases, and it looks like when he was living at my mother's house, I had a bookcase that looked identical to one that he had in my mother's house, only, and it disappeared from this other house. And so obviously he was acquiring stuff that was being stolen from me, and tons of books disappeared, you know, just everything, cooking supplies, my cookware. It's like you can't even hardly keep any kind of cookware or cooking utensils in. My last lemon juicer was stolen. You know, cookbooks, everything.
And what I suppose, since being targeted, they damage our clothes to give, if we wear them, to give the look that we're either crazy or impoverished, and they steal our things to make us keep going broke or financially, so we would buy to, you know what I mean, replace them, like cooking supplies and shirts. Now, do you think, because you started as an electrician, let me get this part right, do you think because you entered an employer that was taken, basically, Mafia/gang stalking, and there's a lot of employers that it's a hub. Do you think your brother was then indoctrinated to perp you and your family after that, or do you think he was actually groomed before your targeting?
Well, I think that the targeting occurred from him after my FBI FOIA was denied. And that was in 2011 because he was, I don't recall or connecting, I didn't notice this stuff before the burglary started. But I think because I noticed the burglaries, you know, and his behavior around, you know, and the phone call, and his going to meetings after they'd come in during the night, and I knew they'd come in during the night, I picked that up. Wow.
And then I want to make sure you get something else straight. Again, when you said I was, you know, kind of a hesitant activist, Crystal, did you feel because of the injuries please share that you just have to.
Okay, just a minute. You got to repeat that. I'm getting some interference. I'm getting interference here. That's
yes,
good.
someone came in. I'm sorry. I apologize tonight, everyone. If you're still, yes, thank you, guest 3. It's not your fault, Crystal. We have interference all the way around. Somebody named Unknown came in, the moderator. I don't know why they want to take over my board. This has been a heck of a night for me, too, Crystal. Obviously, they don't want us communicating. And by the way, thank you, guest 3. Unknown is off. They sabotage a lot of our podcast calls. I want to announce that right now. It's really, we're going to keep pressing on through, New Jacks. We're just going to keep pressing on through. I apologize for that, Crystal. I just happened to look up and see that for a minute. I have to really try to learn how to multitask. When I'm asking questions, I just sort of, I really want to pay attention. They keep coming on to announce that, so I have to stay.
Well, I can't really quite understand it, but anyway, one of the things I've noticed is I should have made a list, an outline of what to talk about before this. But you're teaching me, because this is like the first interview I've ever done. And if you want to repeat the question you had in your mind when you were interrupted with this interference, that's fine if you remember what it was.
Oh, I was just going to say, I know at first you were a hesitant activist at first. You know what I mean? You were, you're interested in an employer, unbeknownst to you, that started mobbing you, treating you badly at work. Do you, in your research, do you find, Crystal, there are, in fact, a lot of job sites that are basically gang stalking layers? That's a good way to put it. I mean, I don't know if you can work for AT&T or Verizon, for example, and it's nothing filled up from top to bottom but perks. Are there some employers that are just bad code,
Yes. Well, yeah, there are some companies, I guess, that might be like that. I was never, the only things that I've noticed were on some job sites where I was being, watched and stuff. I had worked on one job site where there was, during a safety meeting, there was a couple men that stood in front of me at the safety meeting, and they were not with my company because it was a big, huge Seattle Public Library job. It was building that Seattle Public Library, the one that's got the slanted floors inside of it and all that expensive glass in it.
Well, I've never been to Seattle, but I heard it's really a good-looking city. You know what I mean? And you've got a lot of, similar to San Francisco, a lot of activism. And, you guys tend to be very progressive there.
Well, I worked in this building while it was under construction. And they had German glass people there because the glass came from Germany. And a couple of these guys from some other group of contractor or something, not from the group that I was in because I was with an electrical contractor, but they stood in front of me at one of the safety meetings, and one guy had this Harda hat on with it that said, the circle with the slash in it, and then U in the center of it, Y-O-U, and he had that on his hard hat as they stood in front of me, next to a guy that had an upside-down pentagram on his hard hat with Black Sabbath written on it. And it was like they intentionally stood in front of me so that I'd see this. And then I had another incident where somebody with a no use sticker on their vehicle was stalking me, and they drive in front of you so you can see their stickers, and just intentionally to show you stuff. And it's just part of their stalking and their behaviors to threaten and intimidate you. And it doesn't always work, but on people, but the other incident I had that implied some type of satanic stuff is in a building that was like 617 Yale Street. I think that was the address, and I was in the top floor where you could look out over Lake Union and see it, and I was working on stuff in the reconstruction of it, and they were remodeling it, and they had a 617 a Yale is like 617 is the anniversary of Skull and Bones. If you know anything about Skull and Bones, it's the secret society that's involved in historically it's been involved in drug trafficking, and the people that come from Yale in this secret society go into all kinds of high positions in corporations and government. Like George Bush came from there, Dick Cheney came from there, John Kerry came from there, and then you look at the graduation, you look at the member list, and it's got all these people at the top levels of corporations that run corporations that came out of this group, as well as in government positions. But the thing is about 617 is a lot of bad things are done on that day. And Michael Hastings...
the reporter that died in that horrible car accident. I remember because
you read that article about him?
I'll always remember it. I lived in Los Angeles. That's where my sister and I first got gang stalked in May, and we knew Michael. That horrible car crash, you guys, in Los Angeles happened, I believe, in August, right? And I started.
No, it was June 18th in the early morning hours. And the thing is, June 17th is the anniversary of Skull and Bones, and Anthony Sutton that wrote a book about Skull and Bones, revealing a lot of the information about Skull and Bones, was died mysteriously on the 17th of June, their anniversary date. And he wrote this book about him that started revealing a lot of information about Skull and Bones, Anthony Sutton. And the thing is,
also with the SS secret societies, they're trying to say in this FISA memo, there's a secret society in the FBI.
Well, the connections between secret societies and drug trafficking, the secret societies and oil companies and mining companies especially too. One of the things about this 617 Yale in Seattle is the floor that was in the west side of the building where you could look over Lake Union had a Masonic floorboard. You know, the checkerboard white and black design floor tiles. And so you know that some of the locations you go at have got these connections that are Masonic connections, secret society connections, and how all these secret societies kind of run a connected network of just the power elites that are involved in the top levels of these secret societies. And then they use all their little people below them, you know, are kind of disposable. And that's one of the things you can pick up. And if you knew Ted Gunderson, you'd know that the Satanic groups are also involved in drug trafficking, and they were involved in the drug trafficking that came from, I guess, Fort Bragg. And the military has been involved, and he was also one of the people that came out with the facts about the military smuggling the drugs in the bodies of GIs coming back that their bodies were being shipped back, and they would fill them with drugs. And part of this satanic group that worked with the military and the drug smuggling operations were trafficking the drugs. And the thing is, people don't realize that there is a satanic element involved in the drug trafficking. And the fact that this cop was killed in Seattle on Halloween one year, that Christopher Monfort took the fall for the assassination of this cop on Halloween, is really suspicious, because this was a very anti-drug cop. And they managed to pin it on him. And the thing is, with all these covert entries and their locksmith tools and training that they've got, they can do anything. They even, one of the times that they came in. They knew all my patterns from watching me and keeping me under surveillance. They knew when I took the garbage out. Well, I took the garbage out, and I drove it down the road every week to be picked up at the pickup location where my mom has garbage gathered in their pickup location there. And they knew that every week I'd go out Friday mornings at, you know, something like 7 o'clock in the morning and haul garbage down there to be picked up. And, you know, because I didn't have very much garbage. But so I just put it in with theirs down there. And they watched me and knew. And when I got back one day, they'd come in the back door and gone out the front door. And while they were in, they unchambered all the rounds in my Glock and put in, well, actually, the magazine came out. And the thing is, I had hollow point bullets in it. They inserted a magazine that had slugs in it, and they left it unchambered. Because this stuff was going on in the night, I was sleeping with a Glock. Because these people, you know, were coming in during the night, and I wanted to have a weapon on me. But the thing is, I did not know that they had drugs to use on me to keep me unconscious while they were in the house doing this stuff to me. I did not know.
Crystal, that they drug us in some way. Is it a nitrous gas, or how do they do it? That comes in our heat or cooling?
Well, last fall I went and I got my hair testing done, and the thing is, I don't know how accurate the hair testing is, but the only drug that they tested in this one date rape panel, it was a whole bunch of date rape drugs that knock you out, and the only thing it came up positive for was GHB, and that's like a drug that's called Rohypnol. They use that to make people unconscious. And then I had found this light yellowish powder in and around my water containers, and I am highly suspicious because I thought, well, this might be what they've been doing is they've been putting it in my water containers in the refrigerator while I was asleep to keep me drugged and knocked out. And so they would know when I was drinking out of my water containers and when they could come in and do the burglaries. And that's the only drug that came up on the testing for my hair analysis. It did, and unfortunately, because last June my hip was fractured. I woke up, it was fractured in conjunction with one of the nights when I had noticed that someone had come into the house and done some vandalism in it. And it was, and I'm not sure it was at night because I tend to get really tired and sometimes sleep in the day. And the thing is, they vandalized a fan and took a cap off the fan, and for some reason, I woke up and could not walk without extreme pain, and I found out eventually in November when I had an MRI that I had a hip fracture, and it wasn't healing very good. And the thing is, this stuff has just escalated into not just burglaries, but, you know, they've actually poisoned me. And in June of 2016 sometime, I woke up coughing from being asleep, and it felt like something had been sprayed into my respiratory tract, and nasal passages, and anyway, I came down with this rare blood disease, and it's a blood disease that's caused by a drug that's called levamisole, and it's a drug that's put in other drugs to cut with, you know, that they can distribute in their drug trafficking operations, like cocaine, and it's in 70% of the cocaine, and this is the drug that causes this rare blood antibody that I've got in my body now, and it's incurable. It's an incurable disease, and it requires IV treatments that cost around $10,000 each, and that's what they bill them out for from the place that gives you the IVs. And you are dependent on monthly blood monitoring. You have to have your blood drawn and monitored for the antibodies every month. and it's a very expensive disease to have. And the fact that they have poisoned me with some possibly levimisol or some other drug, biological or a chemical that caused these antibodies to develop in me. And this is the cost of government organized crime. This is what government organized crime costs. My safe deposit box in Collville, Washington has been burglarized. I had a safe deposit box there in a bank in Collville, and that was burglarized. And these are Homeland Security personnel that are involved in these covert operations. And people don't realize it, that activists are being set up for crimes like the stuff that's going on with some activists that are being monitored that you might not even hear of. They are being set up with stuff. And if people go online and go on Facebook and find the RT documentary for John Mark Dougal, they will find out that this was a police officer that became aware of all the crimes being committed by other police officers. And eventually he had to leave the department. That's how they handled internal problems. The person that reports the problems is the one that gets targeted, and he had to resign. He had to go into business for himself, I guess. And anyway, he ran a television show where he was having other police officers call in anonymously. And it would be very good if people knew that they were targeting police officers that were good, because of the bad ones that are so corrupting law enforcement now, that even the good police officers are afraid now. Okay. And it can happen not just to activists. They actually seized this guy's property, and then he was going to leave the country. And you'll hear his story if you go on Facebook and look for John Mark Dougal, and it's an RT documentary that you can watch on that Facebook page. And it'll really enlighten you to know that they're even targeting police officers. He went down to some of the boating places, I guess, that you can rent boats from and drive from, and you can actually go from Florida to out into the Caribbean down to different places. He was looking for a boat to rent to get out of the country. And one of the vehicles there, after he turned on his cell phone, one of the vehicles that showed up was a vehicle that had been there at his house when his house was seized, and the FBI took it. So they were following him and tracking him, and he was trying to get out of the country. And anyway, you'll see what happened, how he got out of the country. He kind of explains it vaguely in the video. But you'll know that people are not just being targeted for activism. They're being targeted for being police that know too much. And it's like if you know Cody Snodgrass and you've seen any of his videos, you know that he was working inside to do some of the covert operations. And they have a whole group of people they can pull from to do some of these black operations, people that have training like my oldest brother, locksmith training and tools, and that will do these kind of things. And the thing is, you know, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad when the police are even unsafe.
You mean that it could be like a cop that was complicit in the crime, but for some reason they'll target that cop regardless? You know?
No, he had this cop. If you go to watch that video of John Mark Dougal, you will see what he's talking about in the video, and how cops that turn in other cops for internal investigation.
Oh, okay.
They get rid of the problem cop, the cop that is objecting to this stuff that they were doing. And if you watch that video, I think I messaged you the link. you'll see what I'm talking about and how he was made aware of all the stuff that was going on that was so bad in his department. And anyway, you'll have to go to and watch that video if you want to find out, but it'll illustrate the fact that cops are even targeted when they speak out against other cops.
I believe it because of, well, I don't know if they had all the technology, but Serpico back in the day, 60s and 70s, corruption in New York City. They shot him. They shot him.
Yeah.
So, yes, I believe it.
Okay.
My gosh. And you know what, Crystal, I do want to be aware of time because I understand you have other personal, engagements that you're trying to take care of as well. At this point, and they gave you this rare disease and all this, what advice would you even tell us in the targeted community? What are your views of activism or don't be an activist?
I think it's up to everybody themselves. I can't make a decision for somebody else, and I can't say that you won't be targeted if you do activism. But as I can give you a safe rule, is that there's safety in numbers. Okay. Remember that. And if you can do activism, make sure you have a partner. Make sure you are doing very public stuff and educational stuff like I did. And don't do anything that's ever questionable for legality-wise. Don't do anything ever questionable and keep your head always in the public eye so that everybody can see what's going on around you and stuff when you're out doing activism. That will be some protection if you decide to go there.
Okay. Do you see an end to all of this, in your opinion?
Could you repeat the question?
Do you see a resolve in our targeting and these crimes committed against them? Do you see a rainbow? Do you see freedom?
Well, it's because since 9/11 and all the stuff that the government has gotten away with doing to people since 9/11, they jammed through this Patriot Act that's a phony act that actually gives them carte blanche to do whatever they surveil whoever they want. And it's all this illegal surveillance they're doing and justifying with these phony FISA court fraud documents. It's not something, and these congressmen just keep reauthorizing them to surveil people. Now, how are you going to resolve something when Congress keeps reauthorizing people to surveil these people, when these people are the ones that are abusing their surveillance?
That is true, because I was getting all hyped up about this FISA warrant, thinking that would be, and I'd still want to do it, to write a letter to President Trump. I mean, because if they'll do it to him, you can only imagine what they'll do it to someone that's, not at the status that he's at. And all the other abuses they do under illegal surveillance, you know what I mean? There's one last question that I want to make sense of. I understand, Crystal, the secret societies and how they go into corporations and government. How do they now get in bed with the organized crime and criminals? How do they connect? How do they?
Well, because there's been an organized crime element that's kind of the FBI and the CIA kind of intermingle with these people and the terrorists and stuff like this. You know that John McCain was photographed with Al-Qaeda leaders, these terrorist leaders that are over there.
Oh,
and
yeah.
That photo was gone all over the internet.
And Bin Laden with a few people too. We saw that.
Yeah. Well, that the CIA is kind of involved in all this stuff, as well as the military. And that the military has their secret societies. Kay Griggs was instrumental in bringing out the information about the military secret societies. and all the stuff that links them to some of these covert operations and stuff. And she was targeted for burglaries too. And if you go on the YouTube, you can find Kay Griggs videos. I've even got the videos on my on my Google page. My Google YouTube page has the YouTube account has Kay Griggs's video showing on the first YouTube home page that you go to on YouTube for me.
And by the way, this is a good time. Crystal, go ahead and let us know your. I have it, but the audience, your Facebook page and your Google. I don't have that one. We write it down, so we can check out your Kay Griggs video, and under your Facebook page, you have a lot of information listed that many of us may want to look up in the near future. I'm more aware.
But you see, when you know that this stuff has been going on for so long, and you know that people that are activists have been targeted since Martin Luther King even, and Robert Kennedy was assassinated, and this stuff is part of our covert government. And people just don't realize how covert it really is, and now it's gone into mainstreaming it into the public.
Isn't that kind of dangerous for them to go into the public so much?
It's not dangerous when you consider the fact that they're putting people in all the groups to watch everybody and the churches and everything.
You know, I find them very arrogant, and they always say pride comes before the fall now.
And they say what?
You know that old saying, pride comes before the fall. They're very arrogant, how they feel like they got it that way, all, infiltrated in every level that you could think of. And I just feel like that's like the perfect, storm for their collapsation, though. They're almost too arrogant. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh. Well, it's just like this FISA memo revealed that they target so many people away from the initial person that they're targeting. Like I had heard 4 levels down. Sometimes they target people that are 4 levels away from the activist, like a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend. And then, that can cover the whole world when you get to a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend.
And I'm thinking that would also they want to probably get numbers in their target pool, you know what I mean, to slowly take everyone over. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I think there was 3 levels involved in the targeting in the FISA memo court thing. The targeting that they did on Trump. I think there was 3 levels, but I can't remember offhand. But and then one of the people that it was involved in getting this in Trump's inside was actually a plant inside Trump's operation that worked for the FBI.
I believe it. I believe he's surrounded by them. I think that's what he's trying to fight. I think he's still weeding them out,
Well, I think this has gone on for so many years. People just don't realize it. And it's in everything. And they just have no clue how deep it really goes. And it's like lambs being led to the slaughter.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
They don't know when their number's coming up. And they don't even have an idea that it's going to come up. But once they get done with me, and once they get done with the rest of us that are already in the targeting program, who are they going to look for? They're going to look for more people.
You bet. If they're not already trying to slowly collect them now, it's bad. It ripples, you know what I'm saying? Oh, my gosh. Well, Crystal, I know you told me in advance you have other prior engagements. Is there anything, and everyone, I'm just telling you how it goes right now. We will have a brief question and answers. The call will continue, but Crystal does have prior engagements, so it's not going to be with her speaking as long as the usual calls because she does have other, priorities. Is there any closing comments that you'd like to tell us at this time, Kristen?
Well, I apologize for being so burned out. I think it would be good if you had a Saturday morning conference call, though. Saturday mornings would be really good when people are more bright and bushy-tailed.
Yeah, that might work, but I have to be the caretaker of a chronically ill sister, and we're in a snowstorm here, and the mornings, unfortunately, aren't too good for me.
Yeah, well, I apologize for all the suffering you have to go through.
Exactly. They really have made things hard on all of us. All right, then. Well, we understand. I think we're all tired. This is a trauma, based thing they do, and I don't know how they could really be pleased with themselves. This is shameful, everyone. I want you to hear the sound of my voice. People are getting hurt, tortured, death, very close targeted individual passed just less than 2 weeks ago, Elvira Williams. And I'm still not quite myself. Time heals. In our community, some of us grow close to one another, and it hurts. And the main cause of death is this targeting program. It's senseless, it's useless, it's abhorrent. It's really, truly crimes against humanity is what I see. It's beyond hate crimes. It's crimes against humanity. War crimes. At this time, does anyone have any questions or comments? Our speaker tonight is Crystal, and she's explained a lot of the governmental positions are in bed with organized crime, so high criminality in the targeted community. So they are joined at the hip, where a lot of monies are made, various forms of trafficking, asset stripping, that are, real estate stripping, that's money. Plus, they'll even try to steal, your Social Security disability or retirement. And there's a lot of rings around us, criminal rings. Pennsylvania, if you have a question, I'm coming in right now, Pennsylvania. Go ahead. Do you have a question for our speaker?
Oh, no, I don't have a question, but I just wanted to say I just totally agree with you. It is just what you're saying.
Sorry?
I said I don't have a question, but, I totally agree with what you're saying. It's absolutely true.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, Pennsylvania. You were flagged up for a star 8. That's why we didn't. Thank you so much.
I'm sorry.
All right. Thank you. Okay, Colorado, do you have a question for our speaker tonight? Colorado, go ahead.
I don't have a question. I just wanted to say that you mentioned that they drug you to put you to sleep, and I had them coming to my home a lot too, and they didn't drug me. They entrained me with their I don't know, whatever kind of technology they've got, but they entrained me in sleep, and it could actually make me sleepwalk and open my door for them in my sleep, and then go back to bed, and when they got finished, go back and lock the door. So there is a way, I think it's a Lily wave, I'm not sure exactly what it is that does this entrainment, that they put implants in my nose in different places. They probably did that at least 20 different times. Because
let me find out, Colorado. Crystal, have you heard anything about they can force us to go to sleep with some type of entrainment? We don't have to be physically gassed or drugged?
I have not heard of that before. I have not heard of that. I know that there must have been something sprayed into my sinuses, though, because I developed these nodules in my lungs from something from this disease that I've been exposed to, the antigen for. And I know something was done to me that caused some type of respiratory problems.
Oh.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing is they can also create diseases with the frequencies. They can also create drugs with the frequencies. So all medications are frequency-based, and they can just use any kind of drug they want to do on you. They just put in the frequency in your brain, and it's just like you took the drug.
Yeah.
So, I know that's true. I'm sure that's true. I just really know that's true. But
I don't doubt you, Colorado. I don't doubt you at all. I just want all of you to know they're cowards, impotent cowards, and they like to drug us to do all the horrible things that a lot of us have to endure in this program. Is there any other question that you have at this time, Colorado?
No, that's it. And thank you very much for your story. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you for calling.
Okay, next we have East Maryland. You have a question for our speaker tonight, Crystal, East Maryland.
Yes, hi, Crystal. Hi, this is Vanetta. I'm in North Carolina. I'm a TI. And first of all, I'd like to thank you for sharing your story and what you went through. You're really courageous. And I understand now even better listening to your story of how people surrounding me have been targeted. And it's very informative. And I do agree with Loren that they do come into the religious communities. I'm Buddhist, and they're in, it doesn't matter how you pray, they're in the community. They hire perps, and they have them come into the community and you're in, and to discredit you and dismantle your life. But like you said, people don't think what's going to happen when they run out of us. And it's very important. I had some illusions like, could you explain a little bit about let me stop talking, the FISA court, because I thought maybe that was a hope, but you say they're false. They're no good.
Now, is this for me?
Yes, it's for you.
Okay. Well, I think the FISA court information is really important for people to study, but they've got to realize that this important information is very good to reveal, but it just scratches the surface, and it goes, and there's so much more that has not been brought out that is hidden still. That it's good that this came out, and it's good that people can see it, because Trump is just one example of what's been done to one person. And you can amplify that nationwide and find people targeted everywhere politically for the same reason. And Obama's neck deep in this stuff. And Obama, it's like my brother I overheard talking on the phone. What did the president say? There's even an article I posted on one of my Facebook pages about Obama wanting to know everything that was going on. Wanting to know. So he has while he was in the White House, he made FOIA requests to the White House not granted. He banned FOIA requests applying to the White House, so nobody could FOIA the White House for information. They had to actually sue to get information. And the thing is, they deny your FOIAs anyway under the guise of national security to cover up their crimes, and it doesn't make a point anyway, other than they can just say that he's immune from anybody even questioning the White House. And this was all to cover up the organized crime activities that these politically targeted people for, including Trump. Not just Trump, though. It goes nationwide. And there was an out-of-court settlement in the Seattle area that I did hear about, but people don't know because they put gag orders on everything, and everybody has to shut up after it's been settled out of court. And you never hear anything about it after the document's been filed, when these people take the money and settle out of court and remain silent for it. But people have been targeted for burglaries, surveillance burglaries, vandalism, all kinds of crimes, and nobody ever hears about it because you can't even get the ACLU to help you. You can't get any of the legal groups to help you. They're afraid. And then you got all these lawyers. It's like the lawyer associations, how much of a high percentage of those people are Masonic affiliated, indoctrinated into different secret societies. And when they go through schools, they might join secret societies too, as well as joining the Masons when they get out. And you know how interconnected all these secret societies are, and they go internationally. And the problem is, everything has gone so far down the tubes that I don't know how it is possible to bring it back out.
Mm-hmm. Okay, because again, like Loren said, is it possible this will ever end because they're dug in so deep? They're so firmly entrenched in our society. This is the question I have over and over again. The more we dig, the more we dig.
Yes, and unfortunately, the longer you've been a victim of their targeting, the more pessimistic you get. And, it's like you're waiting for somebody like Trump to come and save us. Because what's been done to him has been done to so many people, only it's tenfold worse or more. Because it's not just surveillance, it is crimes. It is intentional acts of psychological violence, mobbing, it is vandalism, it is burglaries, it is gang stalking, it is gaslighting, it is all kinds of stuff, and even involuntary commitment.
Yeah.
And you don't know what this is like. You'd never believe this was happening until it happens to you. And you've been targeted and you've been harassed by the police. And then you file a complaint against the cop that harassed you, and then you find out he was involved in actually my arrest. And it's like, the police won't do their jobs.
No.
And they won't stop the crimes. And the thing is, they are being probably controlled and threatened by another agency that's higher than them. And when I confronted the local sheriff where I'm living in this county that's in northeast Washington near the Canadian border, I confronted the old sheriff, and he said he couldn't do anything about another agency's personnel. All he could do is ask his men to stay away from him. And that told me three things. That told me that he knew the people involved, his men were seeing the people involved and connected to the people involved, and he couldn't stop them.
Yeah.
And so we're looking at a government agency in my targeting.
Some people,
and my burglaries,
burglaries, Crystal. Some people, Crystal and Vanessa. Some people even believe that government isn't aware of this, but I don't see how that's possible. Some of us move interstate. There's too much retirement, Social Security, medical attention. There's just almost too much government for them not to be involved.
I agree, Loren. I've moved to 4 different states, and my targeting has never stopped. That's why I know it's interstate, that it's somewhere there has to be governmental involvement. If not, it's the RICO Act, because they're coming across state lines to commit criminal acts against me. And I'm in my 4th state.
RICO Act. Yes.
Yes, I'm in my 4th state, and I feel Crystal all the way, and I'm just tired of running. And I'm trying to lead a normal life, but it's very difficult. They target people around me. Of course, they either use leverage, and I'm fighting that right now, or some people need money, and they use the great lie that you're this and that, and you find out just how easily people can be compromised. It's almost shocking. It's very disappointing.
Yes.
Because everybody don't have our courage. Everybody's not like Crystal. Everybody's not like Loren. And everybody's not like me. And you couldn't come to me and tell me to do that. I would disappear off the planet.
Are you kidding? No. It's a little too low, and just it's defiling. It's disgusting.
It's disgusting. There's no way.
It's very disgusting to me.
That you could get away with doing that, because if you have any spiritual sense, you know that any kind of ethics, is retribution, and you know that you're setting somebody up for something that's wrong. But I'm dealing with an MSW right now. Another lady got a master's, and they don't give a damn. They were so-called friends. So I feel, Loren, and you have to be careful about who you talk to. I tried to tell one about targeting, and she told me it was too dark. And this morning she showed up in the red raincoat. I said, "Oh, it's a nice coat." "Oh, it's 2 years old. The coat was brand new." And I realized that part. She's supposed to have EMF sensitivity. Every time I turned around, she's on her cell phone and running back and forth. So I just come to accept the fact that we're gonna have to fight it. And I like people like Crystal. I don't get on Facebook, but I appreciate telling as many people as possible, because if we don't, we'll end up a nation of targeted people. We have no choice. And like you said, the activism, I went out today passing out flyers. Oh, yeah. By the time I got to the Pie-Hole coffee shop, they had cut off my phone, my 4G network, and luckily I could do Wi-Fi calling. I had to leave. A man and a woman came in. I knew exactly what was going on, so I got off the street and I went home. And but I did pass out some flyers. They were in the library with me, because 4 times I tried to have Terry Brewer send me flyers, and 4 times they've been stolen. They never arrived. So finally I decided to go to the library, because I can't have a computer. I'm like Crystal, they break in so often. My computer's been compromised. So I can't even, and I can't get my friend to print it off. They could compromise his too. He's a target. He's in Greensboro. And and I passed them out, and I was in the library. They came in the library with me. I get up to go print. They're looking at what's on my computer screen, but I threw them off because I'm Buddhist, and this is the Bible Belt. I just threw them a Namyo Renge kill card up there, and the guy ran away, And I said, this is the Buddhist chant. It won't hurt you. It's all good. But he looked at that and he ran away, because I know he didn't know anything about it, and that it would scare him enough. So it was 2 of them. So I can print my flyers out and start passing them out. But we do have
thank
to
you for calling. Thank you for telling
I'm
people
gonna stop
this.
Talking.
And I know you are so great to bring out this stuff. And while this guy may be totally ignorant about Soka Gakkai Buddhism, he probably assumed, because of they don't educate these people at all. He probably assumed they program these people with this information. Who knows what he was programmed with it? And he might have been told that you were a Satanist, and then you could say something like that, and he would think, "Oh my God, she's giving me a curse." And,
I told him I got something for you, and I laid the card down, beautiful Lolly card, and I said, "Now, Mary Kelly, since you want to look at what I'm doing, I think you need."
He has no idea. He has no idea that you were just blessing him.
Yes. That's the same thing my landlord did. He stuck it in his pocket, and next thing I know, my cards disappeared, because they thought I was putting a curse on them, but didn't stop them and slow them down, Then he came back telling me he was a spiritual person. These people are deep. They'll say anything to anybody. They have no morals. But to stand up, because if you don't, you just, even though what all Crystal went through, at least she's not invisible, At least she's not crawling in a hole somewhere, afraid to talk, because there's TIs out there, and I want you to hear, Crystal. They're scared to talk because afraid these are grown people. They'll be punished with DEW, directed energy weapons, if they talk too much or if they say something. That we are adults. And, it's though we're in a concentration camp without barbed wire, That's the best way to put it.
Yes, it is. And you're only a victim or a prisoner if you say so. Basically, that old saying, if I say, with my perps, I have never said uncle, okay? That's like wagging up, the white flag. You guys, they'll use any tactics and the best control is fear. You know what I mean? Fear. It makes people do very bad things, and I can't stress it enough. Fear can make not only the perps, but targeted individuals as well. So everyone, I want to address some topics of fear tonight. But Vanetta, I want to thank you. Do you have any other questions for Crystal at this time?
No, thank you, Crystal. Thank you very much. And I'm going to give you my email because I'm not afraid. I'll talk to you. You can talk to me. And my email is Vanetta, and Loren has heard me on calls. V is in Victory, ENETTA 397 @gmail.com. Because I do talk with TIs and make sure they're okay. They haven't been dragged away. They almost abducted me twice in Florida. And luckily I ran into the street, So I understand that even though you're talking on this line, that you're still at risk. I get that. But I'm not afraid to talk to you.
You are true, Vanetta. I want something stressed, and I'm sure Crystal will tell you. Guys, they are interfering on these podcasts that even I had to even merge Crystal in tonight. That's how much they did not want her speaking tonight. Okay, everyone?
Yeah, and if they were in total control, we wouldn't be having this conversation. So they haven't totally won. We wouldn't be having these conversations. They want to close these TI conference calls down because silence equals death. But if we're not invisible, that we have a chance at least living a somewhat normal life. But silence equals death. Because I'm fixing to talk to some friends of mine. Now, I'm aware 2 of them have been compromised. And I tried to tell one, well, I'm going out there because I have no choice. I'm not going to live like this. But thank you, Crystal. And please email me, and I'll give you my phone number, and you can feel free to call me. And like I said, I don't care. My cell phone number, they know my number better than I do. It's 443-691-1047. I was originally in Maryland. They chased me out of Maryland. See, I saw some law enforcement do some things, and I saw one law enforcement commit murder, and it started out in Michigan. So it's a mess, And I saw some things, and I actually went to the police thinking being a good citizen, and that's where my nightmare started.
Thank you so much for calling. And I appreciate you also bringing out how the targeting protocols are very different from people to people.
Yes,
and not everybody is targeted the same way.
No, not at all. Some are not gang stalk, others are gang stalk, some are DEW, some are V2 stall. It depends. It depends on the area you're in and how much, and they do ratchet up. If depending on who put you in the program, and a lot depends. But you're targeted just the same, and your life is dismantled. Because
you're followed everywhere, not only interstate, you're followed internationally. So once you are
I thought about getting on the plane and leave, but I realized that it was international. You can't run from it.
You can't run from it. You can't run from it. Everywhere you can think about going, we have a grid. Maybe the Amazon in Brazil, but who's going to last there a few hours? None of us, none of us. You're not going to last.
No,
you'll be me from somebody that night.
Assange is in the Ecuadorian embassy, and they paid $30 million a year to keep him in there.
Wow.
Because he told. And they're threatened because he released all that information. And the same thing with Snowden and Susie Dawson. They're in Russia. And she's from New Zealand. Yeah.
They're giving them amnesty, yes. Well, thank you, Vanetta. We're going to go ahead and...
Okay, I'll stop.
Hello.
Thank you. Thank you for letting... Hi. Bye.
Hello.
Hi.
I don't want to interrupt. I just wanted her email again.
I'm sorry, whose email?
Vanetta's email and phone number.
Oh, who's asking?
Oh, I'm a TI from New Jersey.
Okay. Okay. You're going to have to tell me your name because I've given out my information so I'll know to answer your email. You're going to have to say something. I understand that you're afraid. Okay.
Well, I already know it's some people on the line, and then they rig my phone, but it's the name of a monk.
Okay, that's good enough. The
it
name
really
of a month.
matter because my family, they do everything.
Okay, wait a minute, guys. I wanted to do an automatic close, so could you go ahead and do that? Because Crystal, I'm going to do a send-off. She's leaving, and do you have the information? Can't we do that after the call?
Sure. I'm going to stay on the call a little while, and Loren has me. I'll stay on the call. Thank you.
Thank you.
Stay on the call.
All right, everyone. Thank you. Wait a minute. This is the last call. Unlike a lot of the moderators, I have a formality, organized mind here. Is there any last comments or questions? As I said at the beginning of the call, our speaker tonight is pressed for time. I'll drop the mic with a song for a few minutes, and then we'll pick up a regular call. So I believe, Minnesota, you're next. Time is of the element. Again, a question for the speaker. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. You have a question for the speaker?
Oh, not really a question. I just kind of wanted to echo that about that they can train you to do things. And also, like, for instance, I've heard of and I've experienced having, your significant other knocked out while they enter the premises and do whatever they want to the other partner.
I've heard that, but then as what Crystal was saying with a noxious gas, Minnesota, and also I've had a lot of targets say, no, it's coming through my heat and piping. So literally physical poisoning. But I have also heard about the entrainment. I'm not sure what it is. Some people believe it's something, a frequency that hits the body that literally puts it into an unconscious state. I have heard that too. And
yeah,
I really
this was not a gas.
Earlier. Okay, because you guys have heard both. And maybe I can look for a speaker in the near future that would relay that. But you are right. I have to get more information. So I guess, how do they do that in entrainment? I have heard that, actually.
Well, I've seen a weapon that's handheld, and it's not much bigger than a pack of cigarettes. It has an antenna on it, and they can point it to someone, and if they turn the dial all the way up, you have grand mal seizures.
Oh, wow, that's horrible. I've heard some things like that or paralyze you.
So I'm sure they've got similar devices that induce unconsciousness, because that's what it appeared to be.
Thank you so much for your comments, Minnesota. Now, Crystal, it's Loren. I want to thank you so much. I know, again, you're pressed for time. The room is now muted. I personally want to thank you for your interview tonight. And I hope...
Thanks for having me on.
I'd like to have you back in the near future. There's a lot of information I'd like to really elaborate on, especially the secret societies and sort of how Mafia, organized crime, or shall I say what the new version of organized crime is. Maybe I'm thinking too much of Al Capone, and maybe it's just the banksters in a Brooks Brothers suit. Maybe I have it wrong, what I envision, you know what I mean, organized crime. It's really white-collar crime. So,
well, it unfortunately, our government has a whole level of people into it that have been embedded, and these come under various administrations. And if people know about Obama's connection to the CIA and his connections to drugs, they can see what's going on and how deeply involved the government is in drug trafficking and not just the military. And we're looking at stuff that he was a groomed person for the presidency and was a CIA operative and also involved in drugs. And the thing is, people don't realize this stuff, and they don't see the stuff in the mainstream media. And the only way you're going to get this information is by seeking out alternative media sources and getting them off the internet.
That's true. That's true. Well, I want to thank you, Crystal, and I hope in the next season, spring is coming up, I'd love to have you back on the show. You have a great deal of information, and on behalf of myself and our callers, new Jack, style of targeted individuals, we appreciate your time.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you, everyone. And as usual, everyone, a reminder, the call will continue. Again, our speaker, Crystal, has prior engagement, so she must depart. I'm just temporarily putting the mic down for about 2 minutes. We'll end the recording, and the call will continue. So at this point, everybody, okay, everybody, we're back, and we're going to go ahead and open up the call. I want to continue. I'm sorry, Crystal had to leave early. She did tell me that. So I want to just go ahead and Marilyn has a question. Go ahead, Marilyn.
Hi.
I think you wanted New Jersey information from New Jersey. Okay, I'll open that up too. I think you guys were exchanging information, and then I'll go into Bill. Go ahead, Marilyn,
Okay.
New Jersey.
Okay, New Jersey. My name is Vanetta, V as in Victory, ENETTA 397 @gmail.com. Okay. And
you said 390. You said 397.
397. That's correct.
Okay. All right.
Gmail. I remember it's a month. It's name of a month. I'll remember. Yeah, and I understand your fear. Okay. I just want to know something to ID you by. Okay. All right. And my number is 443-691-1047. And I've had perps call me, but I can tell the difference. I'm a retired social worker, and I'll play the game with them for a while, and then I'll hang up. Yeah.
Okay. Did you get your information? I'm sorry, I got disconnected off the call. I had to call back in.
Did you get the information, New Jersey?
Yeah, I have it. You said
okay.
The last 4 digits of the phone number is 1043.
1047.
1047. All right, I have it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right. Look forward to talking to you.
Thank you. Okay, you have a question, Colorado? Do you have a question? Hello, Colorado? Do you have a question?
Hi, this is Colorado. This is Andrea. You were asking about the secret societies, and I just wanted to say that there's a couple of things. One is that there's a great website called, it's by Eric Kallstrom. I don't know if you know him, but he has a website called...
Videos. Yeah.
You know him?
I've heard of his videos. He's mentioned this in videos.
Yeah. He has a good website. It's called gangstalkingmindcontrolcults.com.
Okay.
gangstalkingmindcontrolcults.com. And he has a lot of information on there about the secret societies. And then I just came across, in my targeting, I had a weird experience of having the fellow who targeted me. It's kind of complicated, but he had an employee, and I knew the employee. And the employee, he talked to the employee sometimes. And the employee would tell me these words, and he wouldn't explain anything. He'd just say these words once in a while. And one of the words he said was puppet master. So I looked it up on the internet, and I came across a book at Amazon called Puppet Master. And it's about the Italian Mafia that worked with the Red Brigades. I think it was during the 70s or 80s, and they killed Aldo Moro, and they did a terror in Italy, and they killed a lot of Italians. And a lot of people didn't know who it was doing this for a long time. But it turns out it's Propaganda Due. And they're called P2. And so I went and I looked that up, and I came across Jordan Maxwell. And Jordan Maxwell talks about Propaganda Due a little bit. And Propaganda Due is a mafia that's out of Italy, but it was originated in Switzerland, and it was originated by the Nazis, and or at least it has a large Nazi influence. And it turns out that I looked up who was in it, and it turns out the people in it are some of the people that are on the Skull and Bones. Like, there's 4 presidents that were in it, and then Bernanke. There was Bernanke, but it's Ben Bernanke's. I don't know if it was him or one of his relatives from the Federal Reserve, but they were one of the Propaganda Due members, and I think Reagan was one, and George Bush. And I don't know if it was George Bush 1 or 2, and Henry Kissinger. And so Propaganda Due happens to be one of the most brutal and secretive mafias in the world. And they have nobility in there, and they have Italian mafia members inside of there. And inside of the Italian mafia members inside of there is the Medici clan. And the Medicis are the most sadistic of all mafias on the planet. And Medici means medical, medicine. So they're involved in medical crimes. And I live in Colorado, and I have to say that the Medicis have a crest, and in their crest they have 5 golden fleur-de-lis. And here in Colorado, I've seen festivals that have these fleur-de-lis, golden fleur-de-lis, flying on banners across the street.
Fleur-de-lis, red flower of something. What does lis mean? Flower of something.
Fleur-de-lis, it's that symbol they use down at Mardi Gras in New Orleans. On everything. It looks like a fleur-de-lis, but that's the Medici symbol.
Which I heard Mardi Gras is something satanic or roots by it as well. I think we've been infused, you guys, by a lot of satanic practices in our society. You know what I mean? In our society. I've heard the roots of Mardi Gras has a satanic nature as well.
It would not surprise me one bit. I mean, it is sort of dark.
Yeah.
There's a lot of dark arts there.
So
I just wanted to finish
by question about that medicine, Colorado. When you said the Medici is about medicine, what is that symbol always with the Hippocratic snake coming? Because that's starting to bother me now.
That's a caduceus.
Oh, is it?
That's a caduceus, and that's an ancient symbol as well. And
okay,
that has a history as well. But I think these things are tied because the Masons are running the hospitals, and the Masons and the Jesuits run the hospitals. So the Masons and the Jesuits have control over all the hospitals in the country, and particularly St. Mary's and those saints, whatever they are.
Okay.
And so they're doing the medical butchery and mutilations and the illnesses and all that. They're involved in that sector of things. And I think that P2 is here in Colorado. I have a sense that they're in Colorado. And Colorado, I don't know if you know, but we have a logo for Colorado, and it's two triangles, one that's upside down and one that's right side up, and they're right next to each other. So Colorado state government is always in front, and then the department is always a second triangle, like, the Department of Health and Human Services. But if you were to merge those two triangles together, you'd get the Jewish star. So it's just hiding in plain sight what's going on here. And, if you start looking at symbols and paying attention to the symbols, the sheriff's department in my town has a Masonic symbol on the outside of it right there, and they have a dedication sign and everything. I mean, there's no hiding it at all. So it's right there. So if you just pay attention, you'll see these things.
Thank you for telling and sharing this with us, Colorado. I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I do think we're being infiltrated by worldwide Mafia.
And even Guest 15 noted, all the sheriff and police and fire departments have same star. They have the same star. Pay attention to symbols, everyone. Thank you so much for sharing, Colorado. Everyone at this time, symbols are everywhere. If many of you listen to Romola D., she's also part of the Techno Crime Fighters. That's with Karen Melton Stewart and Dr. Catherine Horton. Romola D. has interviewed several times a Jeff Godwin, Godwin, and he has noted with saying that, for the UK, everyone, let me stress that, the entire law enforcement, any branches, is nothing more than a Masonic cult. I really like, I like foreign films, but I really like British mystery. 4 seasons of Line of Duty, they did an underline, because they always seem to have web for 2 or 3 stories. But there was an underlying web of corruption that had high Masonic ties. And what I gathered by the writing, to even accuse someone over there of being a Mason is kind of like almost they sort of treat it just the way it's written as if you're a member of like KKK. It's really bad if someone finds out openly you are in fact a Mason. That's what I gathered from watching this 4-part series. Now, I understand, as I always announce, comments and opinions of my guests don't reflect my own. I feel very optimistic about the FISA memo, and the fact that it's publicly, this is how I'm interpreting it. Not only did they spy and infiltrate, and he was just running for the presidency, President Trump, and he was later elected, everyone. But the main purpose is that it's been mentioned in the mainstream media of secret societies within the FBI, as well as Fox. Hannity is always stating there is not only worse than collusion, everyone, corruption in the DOJ and FBI. With that, I want to announce a one-page letter. I remember, and my affiliation really doesn't matter, but I recall a reporter spent an hour following President Trump when he was running. His headquarters was in an office in New York City. The reporter, he was introduced by Trump, his few staff workers, one or two, to manage the whole office, pointing out, of course, office equipment, buttons, propaganda, hats, make America great again. But what part that I did realize is when he pulled out, while he was campaigning, letters from Americans across the country. He had 2 boxes of them. You could see the postmark and stamp. And he genuinely beamed. It seemed as if it touched him. I remember that vision and thought to myself, as most of us did with this targeting, we went to our local agencies, federal, complaint, etc. But on this part of activism and what I learned a little less than a year ago by my 27-part series of the illegal alien mafia, I suggest most of you check that out. A good portion of it is on this talk show, 144771, and I'm trying my best to get my prior talk show series to merge those calls because someone said a mysterious complaint that I was evoking or spouting hate, and I was closed down, and it was fraudulent from the perp, outer or within. I don't get obsessive, but we're infiltrated, even among ourselves, just as much as the perps when I say outside. We know Pookie and Boo Boo are corner perp, but we're also perped in the targeted individual community. You heard the speaker tonight. They're infused everywhere, so we would be very naive not to believe that our circles are not perped, and I believe their goal is to social engineer targeted individuals where we just pontificate activism, but no active activism is really going on, and that is a frustration within itself. What I learned, not only in the 27-part series of interviewing Professor Solange Martinez, is that she said on several calls, any genuine activist has resources, shares information, and collects information as well. If you're on any call and they're not swapping and sharing information to get out and do something, what's really going on? It's February 2018. Also, it's African American History Month. And as I plan to do a call within the next week, I realized when I did just a history of some clips that were on YouTube, what did I really watch them do? Document, sending flyers, notifications. They worked heavily together with their churches in the community. But what was being done when they had meetings? They were making plans and sharing and exchanging information. They too were tortured, maybe not with weapons, oppressed, bullied, ostracized. I made a clear distinction, and I have learned so much from Professor Solange Martinez, as much as I did from Elvira Williams, who died less than 2 weeks ago. True activists, you're almost like a child learning from your parents. If you're not learning anything from somebody, it's social engineering. And that, I want you all to look it up. It's a manipulation to change your behaviors. I know we coined it in our community like PC, like it's okay, and we all look at what the term PC, politically correct. now that it's not the 90s anymore when it was coined, and now that we're in 2018, that wasn't very nice for, again, United States citizens to absorb. Politically correct will take away limits, truth, honesty, candor, and it picks up lies, manipulation. I'm going to say the correct thing even if it's not true. So things that the Gallup poll may say okay, we have to think fortuitously and realize, is it taking me away from truth and a fight? If we're not fighting in this matter of targeting, we are allowing ourselves to perish, and I can't stress that. The purpose of my call is not only to bring speakers, but activism. Information was shared. The video should upload, the podcast should upload after midnight. And I strongly suggest that those of you that don't take notes, review. When I just say it, it's a little bit more, I know people think, oh, Loren has the music. The music tempers myself, so I don't really stutter. I have to watch forced speech. That's a part of my targeting. But I've just about beat them with music to pace my speech, foreign films so my brain gets exercise, and playing either solitaire or chess within myself. And it pushes through critical, concrete thinking, and it pushes down fear, emotion. I have learned in the 4 years of being targeting, support call and activism call do not mix. They don't balance. It has to be one or the other. And many moderators will try to combine both, but all you come out with is a mess. A mess. Our cause is growing, it's learning, and the core of my listeners that have went the journey with me, I cannot express enough how proud I am of you. We look the beast in the eye. We look our perps in the eye. We're not locking ourselves up as hermits. We're not in a corner pissing the rock. We're not obsessed about Pookie or Boo-Boo the perp. We understand their position in their pyramid. They are at the base, the bottom, the brown shirts in which Hitler had during the Second World War. They are truly the expendables. A crime here, a crime there, they're not safe. There's going to be collateral damage. The pyramid goes up, so the base has to be full at the bottom to keep those in higher positions near the all-seeing eye safe. A good link, read the FISA memo, just hints of corruption, a one-page letter, one-page typed or handwritten very neatly. We don't need too long petification. I feel volumes of letters to our President of the United States to express all crimes in which a human being illegally surveilled and how the tentacles of corruption, mafia, organized crime, with syndicates and rings will just descend upon a person. It's as if life is a combatant against us. I will put it in the chat room, but the address is the White House, 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, Northwest, Washington, D.C., 20500. Those of you that email, all lowercase, whitehouse.gov/contact. To call, comment 202-456-1111. Also switchboard 202-456-1414. I remember sometimes when I was a little girl, my mama always said, the best impression is always the human stain. And I asked her, what does that mean? A human stain really does mean a point of impact, riveting. You jolt someone, and it doesn't need a whole lot of words, or if you're acting, a whole lot of action. Many of our love songs that stay in our heart, I just call to say I love you. Simple words. All we need is love. But these songs burn in our mind. We have it sometimes in our community that I need a whole 5-page diary and dissertation to feel my pain. No. Write from your spirit of what needs to be said. Earnestly. 1 page will suffice. Because if this man was moved by those boxes of letters, of well-wishers of this country, believing in him, wanting him to be the President of the United States, who are we to say what he would do to know you feel abused and outraged and shameful of how the FISA court practices are not being upheld? Can you imagine if they will do this to men in high places, what must they do to men in low places? Today is February 10th. The letters will be mailed. I feel Valentine's Day, Wednesday. Some of you feel you need a little longer. I'm open to suggestions, but I kind of want that cut off a day or two and all mail in unison. We must continue to fight. I will spread the word to other moderators and announce it to them. To make your stain, to be heard. Those of you that have any questions or comments at this time, go ahead and start 8. I'll also put that in the chat. Does anyone have any comments or questions at this time? The board just went narrow for a minute. Colorado, you have a question or comment? Go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead, Colorado. Do you have a question or comment?
Yeah, this is Colorado.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
I can. Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I had a couple comments. One is in 2014, I went to Washington, D.C. to the Brennan Center for Justice Symposium on Government Oversight with the FISA Court and the ACLU, and they had an 8-hour or 6-hour symposium, and Thomas Drake was there. I met him, and Michael German. I talked to him, and the last living members of the church committee were all there. And I spoke to Senator William Green, and I listened to the whole symposia, and it was all about how the FISA court was allowing all of the warrants, and there was a judge there from the FISA court, and he said that they weren't there to make the law. All they were there was to enforce it. And so the ACLU said, well, that makes me very afraid. Their top woman lawyer, she was there, and she said, that makes me really afraid. And that you're not doing any kind of oversight of what you're actually, agreeing to. And so it was an interesting conference, and it's on the Brennan Center for Justice's website. You can go back and listen to it if you want. But this has been going on for a long time now, this issue with the FISA court. And then the other comment I'd like to make is that the same people that put Obama in office put Donald Trump in office, and I know this because my targeter is one of those people. And so I just have to say that I personally stand back from all the politics. I don't get involved in any of it because all of it is play. It's just a big play.
That's true. Thank you, Colorado. And you know something? And Colorado makes her points and stuff. But as I said before, New Jack that I'm talking to right now, fear is not going to, it doesn't balance. It's fight or fear, and that's it. Make your defense and make your stand. I am not a coddler, I've never lied about that, though. I've never lied about that. I'm not a socially engineered type of podcast. If you're not learning something from my call, I already know that I'm just going to hang it up and not be bothered with it. This is not. I'm not here to talk about, what ails me all the time. If we weren't targeted, think about somebody that would constantly talk about how they feel. You'll be feeling to have you in your bed for 40 years, like Rip Van Winkle. Go ahead, 99. Hello?
Hi, Loren. This is Faye.
Hi,
Hi. I won't talk too long. It's the end of the thing. I just wanted to commend Andrea. I believe she's the one who talked on another call that was last night, and she gave amazing information that would Loren does a lot regarding the illegal alien mafia, which is, about deep identity theft. And Andrea was talking about the In Power movement. If she wants to explain a bit, that would be great. Or maybe she can come on one of your next calls.
I'd love to have her on. I really would love to have her on.
It's amazing. Yeah, and then she was explaining a second thing, too. Well, one was the first one. She's on the call, so maybe she wants to tell in a couple sentences the two things she suggested.
Oh, yeah.
She's a great researcher.
Oh, and I want her on, and I'm taking into account what Colorado just explained. And guys, I totally understand. Some of us don't avoid government, but what is your opinion? And have you read on the FISA memo yourself, Faye? Do you feel it's not a great idea to write President Trump? That I too am a victim of the FISA warrant?
Well, I think any possible way to reach Trump would be great. I know that on Technocrime Fighters, did you watch the last one? It was just a couple of days ago. It was really.
I can't say that I have not. No.
It was really amazing. You'll see that Karen Stewart has written a one-page thing that people can download from Romala's site. And it's only one page, but it goes through so much of what we go through. And she talks about the neighborhood Nazis. But she really, in one page, she explains it all. And she says you can download and give it to people. So I was very excited about that. And you would like to
say too, and I too. I want everyone to do. Everyone has to do what they want to do. You know what I'm saying? I think it's a good idea. I'm going to do it. I'm just rehearsing it out to everyone. If we all remember, maybe you guys weren't a part. I know we were probably all kids during the civil rights movement, but they really were cohesive, and they fought, you guys. They wrote letters. There wasn't a lot of, hanging out, socializing. You know what I'm saying? And they were open to a lot of great suggestions, just like you mentioned the young woman, Andrea, is that her name?
Yes, she's the one from Colorado.
Hold on a second, I'll ask her. Colorado's back on. Colorado, is her name Andrea?
Just want to make sure you know, Loren, that I'm not saying not to write Trump. I think you should always.
I didn't take it that way because you know what?
Yeah.
I do understand, Andrea. Everyone has their personal experience. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Are you Andrea?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Hi. No. I'm not saying that, everyone. I am going to do that. I'm going to do
I think it's good. I think that's good. Yes.
I think
we should all do that.
Because you know what? It couldn't hurt. Number one, what did he say on his campaign trail? What did he tell African Americans that he was trying to get votes? What do you have to lose? What did he tell them? What do you have to lose?
Yeah, no, I think that's right.
You know what I mean? What do you have to lose? We already know Targeted Justice, great group. They're starting out. They want to do a massive lawsuit, but we all know what time it really is. It takes what? Time to put together a massive lawsuit. Remember, with activism, there's long-range goals and there's short-range. And true activists are going to do both. They're not going to let any opportunity miss them. They're not going to be stolen opportunities. I asked and it fizzled about the poor diplomats in Cuba. There was a letter for that, too. You know what I'm saying? We have a lot of calls. I'm not down in that. But they're not bearing any fruit now, are they? What's up? Okay? In the meantime, we're being tortured. Many of us are being killed. Our pets, family members. This is horrible, what we have to live through.
Loren, there is something great. I'll just very quickly say, on Technocrime Fighters, this last one, 47, Romala, I think it was her, she mentioned that there's a woman who came on who was quite beautiful, but I think this applies to a lot of the targets who are isolated in different neighborhoods. They now have torture clubs. This woman calls it torture clubs. And so I think we should find out more about that. They're blooming across the country, and this is because of all the sadism. Everything that's happening with everyone is, being entrained. They're getting more and more of these perps, young ones and older ones, from young to the old men, and they're becoming more and more perverted, and they actually have torture clubs. So we should find out more about that. That is definitely something the public will really.
They are techno crime fighters. Those guys are on Thursday.
They're live. They're live on Thursday mornings. It's 11 a. I think it's 11 a.m. Eastern time, but I am not sure.
Okay, I'm going to type it in the chat, everybody. I'm going to put it just this way: the very last techno crime fighters video on YouTube.
47.
Oh, I'm glad you remember that. Thank you, Faye. Very last. Okay, type that in for everyone. Check out Techno Crime Fighters. That is great, Techno Crime Fighters. Okay, put that in. Must be. Everyone has to watch that. Thank you so much, Faye. And like I said, thank you. Everyone has their input. I'm going to be announcing it on all the other moderator calls. But, hey, everyone, I have to do exactly what I say on these lines that I'm going to do. Because you know something? As a president, we'll see how he seems like he's really tackling some things. But as a person or a persona that he shows us on the mainstream media, President Trump is very blunt. And really, I can't say if I ever had a chance to meet the man personally, I think we would get along because my personality is very blunt. Right, tell me, I'm not here to sugarcoat or charm or any of the I really would like to see, because we are losing dear people to us. You know what I'm saying? We're not addressing topics that are plaguing our community. None of us, the very few of us, have the gumption to even point our finger. What is that polka dot elephant in the living room called sex trafficking? And they make money off of that. Yes, they're making money off of the kids. Yes, the pedophile rings are still going on in Hollywood. And Corey Feldman is still upset because the Me Too is trying to take over, and both male and female knew that those kids were also being compromised and did nothing. Okay? Any change has to happen with a struggle. Okay? And with enough revolt, the struggle will happen. If we look, even the French Revolution, let them eat cake, think about any social changes happened with the large masses of marginalized people, either through economic, poor, gender, race. They have nothing to lose. I've heard people say get it at the local level. I am not insulting anyone's belief, but I am a woman that feels like pushing on through and would like to have others that can join me. If you want, I'm moving. If not, you know what I mean, that's not going to change our form and genre on these calls. We are urban-based. We are progressive. We talk about news like that happened even 3 minutes from now. I want to know about it. The here, the now, what's really going down. Okay? If we're going to make any kind of change in our predicament, the change is, as Catherine, Dr. Horton has said it over, you rock the car until we could just keep pushing on through. Okay? Passivity is not going to, help us in this way. Support is good. Over-support is bad. It weakens a person. It's like coddling a baby all the time. You weaken your child. Okay? Then if you're not there to take up the slack, the child will still get hard knocks. And you don't even have them prepared. That's why sometimes there's a lot of rift between parent and child. Because at one point when they grow up, they just kind of look at you. Why did you take up everything? Why didn't you tell me this thing? Why didn't you have me prepared? Life ain't so easy. I can't just come in the scene and smile and everybody will want me. Everything in life is difficult and a struggle and a fight. And again, those of you that are understand the resistance and the cause, we will persevere. Okay? Those of you that are still, maybe in two worlds, make your decision. My mother was born in 1924, but she always says that. Make your decision or want to be made for you. You know that? They really will be made for you. Take your power and make your decision. Okay? We are warriors. We're soldiers. I'm not a victim unless I call myself a victim. I don't feel that way about myself. So, the very last is techno-crime fighters. You can go to whitehouse.gov for address. The cutoff date to mail a letter to President Trump is, hey, Valentine's Day. I see it's sort of a type of irony in that, don't you? And let's keep moving on. After that goal is met, we'll reach another one. Any other questions or comments at this time? We have to understand they're rocking and rolling in the White House. I'm not going to miss my opportunity. Go ahead, Missouri.
Hey, Loren, how are you, Missouri?
Hey, how are you? Good evening. You have a question for us, Missouri?
No, I just an update. I was last on the phone with you, I think, one of the last times with the narcissist. What am I going to do with my life? I married the narcissist.
Well,
not in the car. I got a roof over my head. And luckily, he's kind of a mentally challenged narcissist, so he can't be as rogue as the typical.
Oh, okay, great. Well, I'm glad it's working out for you, Missouri, and I'm glad you came on the call.
What I'm saying, though, like as much as anything can work out,
Mhm. Okay.
They make sure that people are pitted against each other. And I can't tell if he's an unwitting perp or maybe he knows me. I don't know. I'm not even trying to. I'm just trying to get mine.
Sometimes they go, he could probably. I know. We had a caller, if you can go through my past. I had an interview with everyone with Renata about handlers, because she, in that interview, said they can come in our lives as friends. They could be family members. It could be a love interest. So I knew, of course, I heard the term handler, but I never knew what it meant. But, I'm saying, and usually in handlers or narcissist, I'm just saying a narcissistic personality is in a lot of handlers. It may not be the man you married, of course not. But in her interview, she mentions that a lot of them typically have a narcissistic. They're watching, grooming, gently guiding, where they think we want to lead. But I really want to stay positive, Missouri, and hope it all works out. Don't you feel safer?
Well, I guess it'll depend on how it all works out. The money has increased significantly.
Yeah.
My own private.
Well,
I got a good prenup. I kept my head in the beginning. Had a real good prenup. So we'll see how it shakes out. It gives his parents know that he's a problem, and they know this is probably the biggest score he could do. So I think he's going to try to stay on the straight and narrow, but he's, all those NPD videos on YouTube are very accurate. Luckily, he's challenged, so he's not. He tries to be like that, but it's hard for him, and I can kind of, ride the wave above it, kind of.
Oh, well, we're still having the conversation. We're on a writing campaign for a letter to President Trump, and we're going to all mail it off, those that want to do this, on Valentine's Day. That is Wednesday to President Trump, that we are also victims of the illegal FISA warrant memo. And get on board if you guys want to. I gave the address, and I will type it out again. And as I stressed, I am and we are New Jack-style targeted individuals. We are active activists, okay? We are very little with support. We're not downing it, but our minds have been groomed to critical thinking. As I stressed before, you cannot have support calls and active activist calls. It's like apple and orange. If they don't balance, it doesn't balance. You know what I mean? That's what we want to, really want to do. And unlike the other calls, I have a clear strategy. That's what you heard that term. I hate these terms. Going clear. New Jack targets, we have gone clear. We're very clear. You know what I'm saying? And we have to keep that path very narrow, because entrainment is very dangerous. They want us all in a coddling victim. I think it's called learned helplessness. And plus, aren't we sort of heavy with support calls already? You know what I mean? There's a lot of forums for that. You know what I mean? We have a lot of calls for that. And I'm not knocking it, but my only true disappointment is the condition. It doesn't really produce a winning movement. And, the civil rights movement, you guys didn't operate like that. They did. I don't think they would have gotten anything done. Go ahead, Marilyn.
Hi, this is Vanetta, and I agree with Loren. I like
Loren. Hi.
I like the activist calls. I like the information calls where you interview people. On a couple of them, they interview. Another call that all he talks about is strategy and what we need to do. And it's coming from the grassroots movement. It's not going to come from above. We're going to trickle up. And all I wanted to say, and I said it the other day to a friend of mine, I pledge allegiance to the freedom of all TIs. And with that pledge is that for years I didn't know why my life was going sideways. So at this point, I'm just straight ahead, because it takes a multi-pronged attack, as Loren's talking about. I've been in the movement. I've been in the peace movement. I watched the civil rights movement as I grew up, and how they attacked and how they finally got to the Democratic Convention, how Fannie Lou Hamer unseated, all the things they did, but it was a multi-pronged attack. People were working on both sides of the street. So we've got to have people writing letters. We got to have people out there doing flyers. We have the people out there talking. And I gave my purple flyer today. And that's what I'm going to continue to do. But we have to look at it that way because we can't crawl in the corner.
We can't. And Vanetta, I am, you know what I mean? I'm trying, you guys. I made a new resolution, especially losing. She spoke to me every day. I spoke to her every day, Elvira. I sent her a pie for Christmas. It got late. She got perp, a mystic sweet potato pie. She said it took so long she didn't want to eat it. But her last conversation was 8.5 hours before she died.
And it's a blessing.
To Elvira, yes. And what she told me, I'll never forget. Do you know how good you really are? You don't know, do you? I said, no, I don't even. You don't know how good you really are. I'm taking her word. And I now am like a rocket. I'm taking off. I don't mean any disrespect, but I'm not a cuddler. I never was. I want to fight this thing even if my life ceases in an hour. I'm not beholden to any program, any Satanist, and quite frankly, fuck the devil.
I agree with you because we're already in hell, okay? And like somebody said a long time ago, Churchill said, when you're in hell, keep on going. You know, just keep on going because eventually the light is going to come. And I understand about the cults. I understand about all of that. But at a certain point, I want to be free.
Exactly. Exactly. I know we can prove it.
I don't want $1 million. You know, I just want to be left alone. And I want the people, children coming behind me, I don't want them to be bullied and snitches and joining different type of cults or getting paid to torment people or join sex. Catherine Horton talked about it on episode 47. I was on Techno Crime Fighters, too. I was in the comment box, and she talked about the torture clubs and how a lot of the ones doing the torture and surveillance are like 60, 70-year-old men. And this is how they get off. And they're learning.
And it was just mentioning that. She just mentioned that.
And Catherine Horton went into great detail because I'm in a situation, I'm really beginning to understand just how perverted the whole thing is and how they set it up and how they want you to stay as much differences I've had with my landlord. Looked like he would ask me to move, you know, but he wants me to stay because they get off on this stuff. They get off on sending direct energy to my private parts or watching through the TV. And I'm going to watch my TV anyway, but I'm not trying to scare anybody, but I'm just being realistic that we have to fight.
I mean, Vanetta, I'm glad you just said that. Vanetta, they are raping women and children and everyone. I've said it to them. Let me reiterate one thing, and because I'm sick of it. I've been doing nothing but sex trafficking calls for over 2 years. What the fuck is up with the rest of these calls that are not addressing this polka dot fucking elephant in the fucking living room?
One of my TI friends lived next door to sex traffickers. He was in mortal combat with them. Okay, he turned them in. They zapped him. They came in his house. They urinated all over his floor because he went to the police, and they gave him hell. But he kept after him. I'm not going to call his name until finally they moved out. Finally,
that's what they have to do.
What got them out was Matthew Aaron's broadcast about the whole TI setup, and it scared them because they realized that they could do federal time. But they ever got busted. But somebody else may move in. But it took him years. But he let them know that, you know, he did contact the police that they were sex traffickers. And that's just on different levels of people. And luckily he got through to them, so they finally left after, 3 years of torturing him. They finally left because they realized he would not be defeated. And also they knew that he was talking to somebody else on the other line. And it was good. He finally got through to them. But you TI guys out there, you have got to speak up You have got to get on those
you
calls,
know what, before you
the
can even
activism
speak
calls. You know
what?
and stop telling
time,
them how they hitting you and how much it hurts. Don't let them know how much it hurts. You know, they're doing this to me. I only talk about it to let you understand. I'm going through it too. I'm not going to talk about it anymore. I refuse to let them know that they are hurting me.
You've given that kind of power.
Yeah, I'm taking my power back. And they are sadomasochism. It's about a sadistic thing. So they're getting off on, no, you're not hurting me. You know, they can't stand like Loren does chess games, and you keep your mind active. I use a meditation because I'm Buddhist. I'm almost drove crazy this evening meditating out loud for 3 hours. Now I'm sending love and peace into the universe, blessing everybody, and they steadily cutting in on my phone, which I have a buddy chant on it, trying to cut me off. You know, they don't want to hear that.
No.
They don't want any goodness. Same thing as when I'm down there and I'm on Sister Miriam's call and she's reading from the Bible. They start hitting me with direct energy.
That's horrible. Yes, we do that. A lot of women are raped in church or in front of their children.
Yes. This is quiet crying.
And I'm not trying to say coddling of talking about. I'm talking about addressing it. Everyone, they make money hand and fist, but they're making most of the money through illegal surveillance, putting us, you know what I mean, something on the dark web, and definitely this sex trafficking. They are taking and videotaping. They're making money off of that.
They're making money. But Jeff Godwin, and I like him too, Lord.
I like Jeff.
I love Jeff.
I
listen to Jeff. But Jeff said something important. Karen Horton said something important, and so did Karen Stewart. And they all pointed out and that the low-level perps, first and second run, they're going to kill them too.
Oh, yeah.
Because it leads back. And this is their collateral damage. And that's what really gets me. They don't realize while they're tormenting us that their time is going to be up, that they're going to kill them. And their time can be up any time. And they are surveilled as much as we are. They're under constant scrutiny. They can't show any compassion, and they can't get away from them. They cannot run from them. And they are going to kill them. And that's the sad part about it, that they're going to get, and I don't wish murder on anybody or death on anybody, but they're going to kill them. And they haven't got enough sense to realize they're going to kill them. They're not going to leave this converted dairy farm on 5 acres. They're not going to leave the owner alive to tell the story, you know, in his deathbed or get a moment of conscience or any of the perps that's here. You know, I'm liable to wake up one morning and they're all gone. And it won't be the feds coming and got them. It's because they become a liability. Because they become too well known.
Oh, yeah.
Because exposure is the only way to get them off of you is to expose.
It is. Everyone. Like Vanetta just said, she finally waited and downloaded her own flyers. I'm telling you guys,
they stole mine out of the mailbox. I never got them.
You never got them in the mailbox? Oh, my God.
Terry Brewer from Stalking Crimes, 4 times he mailed me flyers. I never got them.
So they commandeer your mail. A lot of us have theft with our mail. Well, Violet did before she died. She did. She was perked heavily, even for her mail. She was.
Perked from my mail. So I downloaded my own and went on, and I'm going to get that one by Karen Stewart, too. I'm going to download that letter and pass it out.
Yeah, on social media. I saw that one. I do want to download. I'm telling you guys, we have some dynamite people all
We have some tools available to us.
We need to be active, all of us, to fight this thing. Nobody was sitting on their duff in the civil rights movement. They all had something to do. And what I'm worried, because Professor Martinez saw it last summer when we were doing the interviews, she kept saying it, if you victims continue to sit or get scared or whatever, you might as well lift up your neck and let them slit your throat.
I am not a targeted individual anymore. I consider myself a spiritual warrior.
That's how I feel about myself, too. I'm not a victim. Because
I'm not a victim.
I'm not a victim. I have my own personal problems with confidence. I think that's holds back of being a leader. But without a doubt, Vanetta, I am an obstinate follower. I'm not a follower by nature. If everyone digs so-and-so, I'm walking the other way.
Yeah.
If 100 people tell me they love me, I'm scared because I don't believe that.
But I do believe love, but I do understand people have conditional love when they say they love you.
I'm worried if, you know what I mean, the shallow thing, everyone digs me. You know, and I would, you guys, I've always been that oddball out saying, how can you dig me? You don't even know me. You know what I mean? I don't, I'm not a follower by nature, guys. I'm not a follower.
That's why a lot of us TIs are in this program also. It's because we're not followers.
I'm not a follower.
We're independent thinking. The ones that are not in for whistleblowing is something about us that is special. That we bring special skills and special gifts. And if we stop being afraid and think about these special skills and special gifts that we each possess, we can take them down from the grassroots up. Because we are special. Because we have endured the unendurable. And we're still talking.
Yes, we are.
You know, like the song, when Pink sung it on the Grammys, Wildflowers Are Not Broken. And she said, it's not enough tape to tape my mouth. I started crying because I said, no, she's right. And that's how we have to be. And not enough. And that's how they were in the civil rights movement. People were acting up. People were talking. I was in the HIV movement. I was an HIV counselor, educator, and medication coordinator. ACT UP came in, and they started clowning. And I remember they turned out this conference, but things started to change when they came in and started acting up. Because he said, we are sick and tired of people dying.
We are. And I can't stress it enough. Everyone, the letters, I believe that's enough time, a one-page letter. As you heard me repeat my recordings, the human stain, as my mom always told me. She was born in 1924. That means something small but pivotal. I'm going to remember you. See, we have it in our minds thinking more is better. No, less is better, guys. No.
No, just one page.
No. Like a woman remembers a man's date that he gives her, what, one rose? She forgets the guy that gave her 3 dozen? Doesn't remember his name?
Yeah.
Less is more. You know what I'm saying? Less is more. Doesn't take that much to summarize in your words. I've heard someone suggest, well, Loren, the letter campaign, can't we all send them to you in one big group? No, your words, your stamp, your time, your work. You're a warrior.
Yeah, and don't fax it, don't email it.
That's being a victim and coddling. I really feel that a lot of us are missing our mark of really, the saddest thing is potential. And the saddest thing, when we don't fight, we're sort of agreeing with the perps. You know, like, you're right, I ain't much, go ahead and kill me. I mean, when we act so depressive on a lot of these support calls, how else can I say it? It looks like a dog no one wants, and I don't want it because no one else wants it.
I feel sorry for him, but I have to get off the call.
I can't listen to most of the calls, Vanetta. I can't listen to them.
I love humanity, but I'm not holding no pity party because a pity party ain't going to get us out of this rabbit hole.
No, it's not. And I don't know if it's a vibration with the phone. There's so many calls. It feels socially engineered. I can hear good ideals and they just go flat. And the only thing that picks up momentum is petty fighting or some obsession with Pookie or Boo Boo the perp.
You know, but when we talking sense, nobody. I never forget the other night, Ella had somebody, nobody was asking this woman. This woman was brilliant. Serena opening a publishing company. This woman was targeted. DEW, raped, kids taken from her, and she still opened a publishing company. And she still got a certified life coach. She's my hero. You know,
exactly.
Who's talking about enduring and still wanted to help? You know, and going to make a magazine for us to have a format and roll it out for us to tell the world.
That would be great.
You know, and that's what she's talking about doing. And that's in that. But did you know you could? And Ella said it. She said, when I wanted to ask her some questions, nobody could say anything. But the minute Serena stayed on the call, and people started talking about this was being done to me and that one. They all went to it. you know?
Yeah, I'm wondering if there's a buzz or a bell or a frequency. Because it's like a socially engineering, guys, and it's really, it's really freaking me out. And I know some of you say with my speakers, can I introduce them? You guys, too socially engineering. I don't really, I don't want to introduce you to anybody. No.
It's like, it's because we're traumatized. Trauma does that to some people they must talk about it over, and it doesn't change it because to talk about it over and over and over again, let me soften my voice, makes you reopen that wound
and relive
it. Let me show you how to get out of that dark path, out of that darkness and into the light so you can heal. We're talking about healing calls.
Yes,
and let's start healing.
And movement calls.
And movement calls. And some people may not be into talking about God or spirituality. Talk about deep healing. Talk about positivity. When you start talking about it, nobody want to talk about that. I was trying to do a deep breathing exercise one night to relax everybody, a yoga exercise. And they don't want to do that, How to relax yourself, how to calm down, that hyper alert state that you're in the flight or fight, that you can't think.
And I gotta say this, and I want to say this really as quietly as possible. And you guys, I'm not shallow, but you're right, I am very blunt. And I'm just going to say it because the tape is rolling. When most of the targets are in that emotional, self-pitied type of mode, guys, where the majority of them are, I don't feel comfortable sharing introductions with let me be blunt, a warrior that is into critical thinking. Because, again, it doesn't balance. It's almost like parading a winner around a group of losers. Let me be real blunt.
It is.
I'm sorry, I'm blunt.
We have to remember what we forgot, because a lot of us had invaluable skills. I had to talk to another TI who is an energy healer, educated at Barbara Brennan School, energy healer, who is terrified. And she talked for 2 hours. I had to text her to get her to understand that she is Earth as a healer, and that is foremost, not all what they're doing to her. And she's here for a special reason, because a lot of these medications they got on the market will kill you. I'm into alternative medicine. They will kill you dead, to understand that the gifts that we have within, that, and to go back to that we have the God force, whether you want to call it Buddha nature or God force or the Holy Spirit, you have that in you, and you have that belief. And when you start believing that you can win, every cell in your body, everything in your environment will start moving in that direction. If you believe your failure and you're just beaten down, they're killing me, the mind hears that and the body starts moving in that direction. Turn that energy around and make it positive. And one lady said positive thinking. Yes, before you get up and take action like the Quakers, they said do your praying and let your feet do the moving. Okay? That means take action. Because without action or spiritual beliefs, everything is nothing but theory. Okay? It's about action. Loren talked about World War II. I'm a history buff. It just amazed. That's why I've been looking at how to deal with these neo-Nazis, how people back in World War II, and they had the Gestapo, everybody on their back, and they still fought back. I just watched them, how these Unitarians went over to Czechoslovakia and got 2,000 Jewish kids out of Czechoslovakia, drove them straight across Nazi Germany. That took courage. How resistance fighters kept coming back, And
Vanetta, I'm sorry, guys. I don't mean to be one. We're getting ready to close. Two, I have to give attention to my sister. Guys, we're getting ready to close.
Okay, let me stop. I'm sorry. I just want us to win. And I'm going to stop now, and I want you to all know that I do love you, and I pray for you, and I love you. I really do.
Thank you. We love you too, Vanetta. We do. Thank you so much. Guys, we've had a really good night tonight. We're getting ready to close. Very quick, West Coast Angels, getting ready to close. You have a question?
I'm sorry I'm so late. I just have a really bad cold.
You're getting ready to close. Oh, okay.
I'm just really sick. So this is Cindy in Sacramento.
Do you have a question?
To get on I have a comment. Just to, let you guys know I'm alive. I would like to comment, Loren, on this, is that I feel like we're close to a lawsuit, okay? I think we're very close, and I want to encourage everyone to take care with your safety, beef up your safety at home, and when you're out, please try to stay, go out in the daytime, and, because they would rather get rid of us than us get settlements. And I think that women and minority women and really open-minded Caucasian men will be in danger before they have to pay us. And I hope that doesn't sound too negative, Loren, but I'm just getting this feeling in my gut, and I could be really, really off by, not right, but I think with Elvira going to heaven, I think that she's one of the ones how old was she, real quick?
We have another question, and I'm getting ready to go. I'm sorry.
Yeah. How old was she?
I'm getting ready to hang up.
How old was she, though, please?
Mid-60s.
She should have lasted till her mid-80s.
Oh, yeah.
So I just think that this is something really terrible, and I just want to encourage you all. I'm just getting on the mic so you guys know I'm alive. And last bit is that HUD has been put on notice. They have been put on notice to keep us safe.
Actually, it's not. I don't really have a support call, though. I don't really have that.
Oh, no. It's not a support thing. These are facts. I just had HUD just make it land on the top of the heads of the owners where I live, that they must keep me safe.
Thank you,
and
Cindy.
I think that's something for the targets to know on a legal level.
Go ahead, Missouri. Go ahead. Maybe I should call a meeting with the rest of the moderators. The condition must change. Perhaps a call with certain topics would be helpful. They disallow topics to be discussed that are real, get the TIs to a deeper truth. Something's lacking. I'm going to just be honest. Something's lacking. Missouri, do you have a comment?
Is there another call tonight or no?
I don't know. I don't support other calls because of that social engineering. I'm not really comfortable with that. My mind has moved on.
Is your call on at 9 o'clock Central Time?
I'm on Wednesday and Saturday, 9 p.m. Okay?
Central? Central Time?
Eastern Standard Time, 9 p.m. I'm always on Wednesday and Saturday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I don't know if other calls come in. Let me be really blunt. I don't follow the calls. I feel personally there's a type of social engineering. Number two, the intellectuality, the warrior mode. You're not bringing it. Okay? I want to win. I want to live. I want others to join me in this cause that want to win and want to live. There, again, are too many support calls for all of that. You have a complete array of that. That's all they talk about is that. Okay? Ryan, OSI may be open later. I don't like to, again, I'm not sure if any of the other calls are there. I think if you go to Terry or Ella's website, they may know of that. Someone in the chat does say they disallow. That bothered me. Disallow. Because that's, again, wait a minute. That's, again, if they disallow topics to be discussed that could get real to the FNT, maybe, are you telling me they're censoring what you can talk about? Maybe I didn't understand it in the chat. Get real to TI to a deeper truth. Well, I can tell you The support has to be nosed out. It's too feeling oriented. I'm alive. I'm da-da. That's a state of hyperness. This is not the call for that. We are new Jack targeted. We are new Jack targeted individuals. We have centered our emotions. Our brain moves, and we move with our brains. We have made a choice in our brain that we are going to fight. We don't want to be coddled or nurtured, and we don't think of ourselves as a dog nobody wants. We're not pouting out as spastic kids that I'm alive or someone save me. We know this is a war for your mind. 90% of the time it's more fear than fact. Don't you know very well if they were going to kill us, it wouldn't be so overtly? They have us worried maybe about our kidneys when they're really getting us by the poisons at night. We get it. What do you want to say, Cindy? Go ahead.
Hi, Loren. I'll open a call if people want to, talk on things that they don't talk about on Ella's call. I will open up a call on all those people's calls because I'm not into what they have to say to the core. You know what, Loren? I'm not on that, on that level. I don't follow Derek. I'm not going to be, handled by Derek.
Okay.
I'm not going to be handled.
Well, everyone, this is in the room, 144-175. In the chat. Oh, yes, Loren, calls are censored. You know what? Maybe.
Thank you, Loren. Thank you.
You are welcome.
Thank you so much.
I wanted to get that really straight. Okay, yeah. All right, then I didn't know calls were censored in that retrospect. Okay. Well, guys, I don't know if I don't know if I really want to use the word censored. No, okay, censored. Censored to the point of I want to fight, and I want fighters with me. Thus, I can't have topics or the tone. Maybe that's right. The vibe of the call is too much coddling. Ain't no work going to get done. Ain't no goals going to be achieved. And guess what? At the end of the day, I don't care what you think about yourself, you don't feel that great about yourself. Like I like winners. I like winning. I like using my mind and passing an exam, and I won. I like the blue ribbon. And I know before this targeting, a lot of us achieved the blue ribbon. Let's damn sure Skippy act like we can have that again. So all that cooing and coddling, I'm still alive, and that fight, stop it. Okay? Grow a pair. I know I have. And that's really what it'll be. You know what I'm saying? I'm just not interested in, and like I said before, we are heavy, and in my opinion, all the calls are like that, a little bit too cuddly for any kind of activism. And if there are activism calls, there's no information shared. Again, I can't stress it. True activists have resources that they share and obtain resources. You heard even Crystal tonight for over an hour. Did she not share information? Yes. Yes, yes. Okay? This is not worried about, you know what I mean? I'm depressed, my dog is sick, my daughter. That ain't no activism call. Come on. That's just getting together and hanging out. Look up and define the word activist. Okay? If you're not getting what you want from the call, I didn't know, by the way, and I'm not even going to give your information in the chat room, that calls were censored. I didn't know it was really like that. But you know what? That worries me, because if they're censored, what the fuck are they? Never mind. Everyone have a good evening. Because I'm about to say, I hear a lot of nonsense. I don't go on them because they feel socially engineered. I like my brain. Let's end it positive. Foreign films, reading, critical thinking, think, stop feeling, coming in all emotional, hang that shit up. Most of us are over 45. We don't need to be drop the hanky anymore. Come on. Okay? This is the kill program. The strong will live, the weak will perish. And it's just that simple. I'm not here to lie. I don't lie to myself. Why do I need to lie to you? I don't lie to myself. Why would I consider lying to you? Anyway, you're beautiful. We're going to be on Wednesdays, 9 p.m. MK Ultra Generational. Her name is Tara. So we're going to have a good speaker. 9 p.m. Bring your thinking caps on. Always have your notebooks to take notes. I'm not like all the other calls, and I don't need to mention the moderator's name. But if you want wisdom and want to fight, you'll find yourself not being able to listen to that either. So I don't really understand what they're, I can say my opinion. I don't know what they're censoring, because they're not getting, censoring, they're not getting too deep. For God's sakes, nobody mentions trafficking, you know what I mean? So how deep could it get? Anyway, good night. Have a good evening, and I'll see you on Wednesday, 9 p.m., and it'll be MK Ultra Generational. Good night.